How's it going, Fuse? It is now time for the results slash highlights and review video. I'll go over the results and some of the highlights in my opinion of SummerSlam and then give you guys my thoughts on the show. So it all kicks off, of course, with the kickoff. This time the kickoff was an hour, so they promoted the matchup. They also showed some commercials for 2K14, and there was an announcement that the Brock Lesnar vs. CM Punk matchup is now going to be a no disqualification match. As far as the kickoff match, Dean Ambrose vs. Rob Van Dam, pretty good matchup, and it ended in its qualification when the Shield came out. Their music actually hit, and they came out, but they didn't do anything yet, and that's because Big Show and Mark Henry also came out at the same time to stop them from doing anything. So all four superstars were outside the ring for, the rest of the matchup. Match continued on until Rob Van Dam, it looked like he was going to go for the 5-star frog splash. That's when they interfered, and actually Roman Reigns speared Rob Van Dam, and then they, got out of the ring as quick as possible and left. So pretty much Rob Van Dam wins by disqualification, as I predicted. Anyways, after that, as far as the actual show, it kicked off with The Miz, announcing some matches, pretty much telling the people, what matches are going to be on the SummerSlam card, getting people excited, and also Fandango and Summer Rae came out and started dancing. And then the first match was actually the Ring of Fire matchup, and that matchup, Kane actually hit 3 chokeslams in the match, but he didn't go for the pinfall. He chokeslammed, the first chokeslam he hit, the camera didn't pick it up until at the end of the chokeslam. And then he hit another chokeslam right after. He didn't go for a pinfall in between or anything. And then he went for yet again another chokeslam. So 3 chokeslam, but he didn't want to go for the pinfall. And during the match, Eric and Luke tried to get in the ring. They were trying to get in the ring to help out Bray, especially after the chokeslams. But the Flames would stop them, and even tried to put a kendo stick to Bray Wyatt, but the kendo stick would go on again, go on fire. So they just couldn't help Bray until they found a piece of fabric which they put on top of the fire, and then they put the steel steps so they can climb the steel steps and go over that and go inside the ring. One of them clotheslined Kane, the other hit a big body splash on Kane. And then Bray Wyatt hit the STO, reverse STO on Kane for the 1-2-3. They won the matchup. After the match, it wasn't over though. Bray Wyatt went outside the ring, he sat down. They brought Kane to him, and they brought the steel steps right in front of Bray Wyatt, put Kane's head on the steel steps, and then they grabbed the other steel steps and smashed, pretty much hit Kane in the back of the head with it. And then they actually left, and they dragged Kane with them. So what's going to happen there? Anyways, after that, the following matchup was Cody Rhodes versus Damien Sandow, which, by the way, was a pretty good matchup. It was a quick match, but it was a good match for the time it got. And in the end, Cody actually won the matchup with the Crossroads. He went for, how guys sometimes go for a roll-up victory by going behind the guy and then running towards the ropes and then rolling him up. Well, this time, Damien Sandow grabbed onto the ropes, but that didn't stop Cody from setting up Damien Sandow for the Crossroads and actually hitting it, goes for the pinfall and wins the matchup. So Cody beats Damien Sandow, and after he beat Damien Sandow, he signaled for the championship around his waist. So who knows, maybe he's now he's looking towards the World Heavyweight Championship after winning this match. Anyways, after that, it was actually the World Heavyweight Championship matchup. They showed the career video package of Christian that they showed on Raw. Christian made his entrance, new t-shirt. Del Rio made his entrance, and he's got a black eye. As far as the match goes, it was a great matchup, just as I expected. Every single time Christian and Del Rio faced off, they have some good matches, and this was no different. This was a great matchup. You had some cool spots, some nice counters. At some point, Christian went for the spear, and Del Rio countered it with a running drop kick to the head. Del Rio even hit the super kick on Christian as he was getting in the ring, but Christian kicked out. Del Rio went and locked on the cross armbreaker twice, but Christian actually got out of the first one. He countered the first one. You had Christian hitting a top rope Hurricane Rana, and Christian actually hit the spear at some point, but couldn't capitalize. He couldn't go for the cover because he was holding his arm was hurting him. Also attempted the kill switch, but Del Rio countered it. In the end, though, Del Rio locked on the cross armbreaker, and Christian tapped out. Although he didn't tap out instantly, you know, he was there for a while, and then eventually he had to tap out. It was, you know, although I would have liked to see Christian win the World Heavyweight Championship, it was a good matchup. Anyways, following that, they actually had a backstage interview. The Miz was interviewing Maria Menounos, and then once again, Fandango came up to them and he started dancing with Summer Rae. But this time, The Miz started dancing with Maria Menounos and outshined Fandango. And then him and Maria Menounos left. Following that was Brie Bella versus Natalya, and I've got to say, this match got a lot more time than I thought it would. Brie Bella, in the matchup, she oftentimes went for a certain submission hold, which kind of looked like an abdominal stretch, but with Natalya sitting down. And she went for that a bunch of times, and also during the matchup, Nikki Bella and Eva Marie, they would interfere a lot in the matchup. I think 2-3 times in the match. Natalya locked in the sharpshooter like twice in the matchup. First time though, Brie Bella got away. She got out of the ring. And then, you know, Nikki and Eva also served as a distraction. At some point, you had Natalya on the outside, Brie Bella inside the ring, and Brie Bella missile drop, well, not missile drop kick, but hit a baseball slide on Natalya while she was facing away. But in the end, Natalya pretty much hit an Alabama slam and right away locked the sharpshooter. Pretty nice sequence, and Brie Bella tapped out. So Natalya wins the matchup, by the way, as I predicted. So, after that, you actually had a segment where Ryback, where he was bowling somebody else at catering, and pretty much it was, you know, drinking some soup, and he said the soup was cold. And then the guy said, well, it's supposed to be cold. And then Ryback, in the end, you know, he tells him a big guy doesn't like, you know, cold soup. And he ends up dumping the soup he had in his hand onto the guy. And then he also dumped the whole freaking container of the soup onto the guy's head. And afterwards, you had the no disqualification match. That's right, no disqualification, since they did change the stipulation. CM Punk versus Brock Lesnar, Best versus the Beast. And this was an awesome matchup. It was actually, since Brock Lesnar has returned, I have to say this match with CM Punk is now my favorite Brock Lesnar match since his return. It was just a good matchup with lots of exciting spots. And CM Punk went down the top rope so many times in this matchup. I don't know how many times, but a bunch of times. You know, using a different strategy to take down somebody, you know, as big as Brock Lesnar. And Brock Lesnar, you know, he overpowered CM Punk. He would throw CM Punk around, throw him over the announcer's table, you know, belly to belly suplex on the outside. They used steel chairs, both of them, a bunch of steel chair shots to the back, and they both hit their finishers. You had Brock Lesnar actually locking on the Kimura lock, but CM Punk got out. CM Punk, I think, actually countered, the Kimura lock into the Anaconda Vice. CM Punk hit the GTS twice. Brock Lesnar, I believe, hit the F5 only once, but that was the F5 that was needed to win the matchup. That's right, Brock Lesnar won the matchup in the end. But before I talk about that, before he hit that F5, CM Punk was about to win the matchup, actually hit the GTS on Brock Lesnar for the second time. Went for the cover. First time, Brock Lesnar kicked out. Second time, goes for the cover, and Paul Heyman stopped it. Paul Heyman got in the ring, started punching CM Punk, broke up the pin. And that's when CM Punk grabbed Paul Heyman. He actually finally got his hands on Paul Heyman. He tried to get his hands on Paul Heyman, you know, numerous times in the matchup, but that's when he actually got to hit him. And then after that, it wasn't over. He actually locked on the Anaconda Vice on Paul Heyman. That's what ended up costing CM Punk the matchup. He had Paul Heyman locked in the Anaconda Vice. Paul Heyman was screaming, tapping out. It really doesn't matter because he's not in the matchup. And that's when Brock Lesnar got up with the steel chair, hit CM Punk in the back, set the steel chair up, and then picked CM Punk up for the F5 and hit the F5 precisely on the steel chair. CM Punk landed face first on that chair. Brock Lesnar went for the cover and won the matchup. That was, like I said, it was a great matchup. In my opinion, this is definitely Brock Lesnar's best match since returning. Following that was the mixed tag team matchup, Dolph Ziggler teaming up with Kaitlyn to face off against AJ and Big E Langston. Towards the end of the matchup, you had AJ trying to grab Dolph Ziggler's leg, but that's when Kaitlyn hit the spear on AJ on the outside. Big E then tried to go for the big ending, but Dolph Ziggler countered it into the zigzag, went for the cover, won the matchup. And then you had another segment with Fandango, Summer Rae, and The Miz. And then it was time for the main event, WWE Championship on the line. John Cena versus Daniel Bryan with Triple H as a special guest referee. Crowd was 100% for Daniel Bryan. And I'd say maybe, like, I don't know, 10% or 20% were, you know, doing some Cena chants or cheering for Cena. Cena got a lot of boos. And it was a great matchup too. That was also a great matchup. This match also had its share of cool spots. At some point in the match, you had Daniel Bryan. Cena was on the top rope. Well, they were both on the top rope. But Cena was going for the attitude adjustment from the top rope. He was attempting to do that, but Daniel Bryan got out of it, and then he started hitting the elbows to the neck to John Cena. And then he tried to go for a Hurricane Rana from the top turnbuckle. He tried to do that, but actually John Cena caught him, and he didn't let go of Daniel Bryan, and then he fell, well, he kind of jumped from the turnbuckle position. He had Daniel Bryan in like the Styles Clash position, so I was wondering what he was going to do, what he was going to hit. If you're wondering what the Styles Clash position is, some of you might know it as the Faith Breaker, which Michelle McCool used also as a finisher. But he actually turned that into an STF. And also, speaking of the STF, by the way, Daniel Bryan got out of it. Speaking of the STF, Daniel Bryan also locked on the STF. Yes, he did. Which also John Cena got out of. He also locked in the Yes Lock, and John Cena got out of that. John Cena hit the AA. Actually, John Cena hit the attitude adjustment out of nowhere in the matchup. You just had Daniel Bryan in the corner running at John Cena. John Cena catches him, hits the attitude adjustment out of nowhere. Daniel Bryan kicked out, though. At some point after that, there was a pretty cool spot where Daniel Bryan went for, you know, the missile dropkick in the corner. He went for 3 of those, I think. And I think on that third one, that's when John Cena hit a sick clothesline to Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan flipped over. Nice sell there. And in the end, Daniel Bryan won the matchup. He actually won the match. He didn't win the matchup by submission, though. He won the matchup with a running or a flying knee to John Cena. So it was definitely unexpected. That was an unexpected. Like, I was expecting Daniel Bryan to win. He was my prediction. I just didn't expect him to win at that point in the matchup because he had never used that move as a finisher before. Is that going to be Daniel Bryan's new finisher or not? I don't know, but if it is, I think it's a pretty cool looking finisher. So anyways, he hits that, goes for the cover, and gets the 3 count. I was surprised when he got that 3 count, just because, like I said, I had never seen him use that as a finisher before, so it was unexpected. Wins the championship, and everybody's happy, everybody's standing, yes, yes, yes. Triple H raises his hand, you know, he's holding the championship. He's celebrating, John Cena gets up, and then he turns Bryan around, and he says a few words to Bryan and then extends his hand. They shake hands. John Cena leaves. Once John Cena leaves, you know, Daniel Bryan continues celebrating, and, you know, there's pyro, there's confetti, and I was pretty much expecting the show to end, you know, with the confetti and the pyro. And at that point, I was like, oh, you know what? With all this pyro and confetti, I think the show might just end on that. You know, maybe Randy's not going to cash in. But that's when Randy Orton's music hits. He comes out with a Money in the Bank briefcase, marching pretty quickly to the ring. He stops at ringside. Daniel Bryan stares him down. He stares Daniel Bryan down. And Daniel Bryan's telling him, you know, come on, bring it, you know? And Randy's just looking on. Then he raises the briefcase. I'm like, oh, maybe it's just, you know, Randy giving him a warning. Just teasing that, you know, I can cash this briefcase in at any time. And then goes back up the ramp. And, you know, I'm also, at this point, I'm like, damn, you know, what's going to happen? He's going to go back there. He's going to cash it in. Maybe when Daniel Bryan turns his back, or is he not going to cash in? But then Randy stops on the ramp and he looks back at Daniel Bryan. And at that point, I started in the background, I started seeing Triple H slowly getting closer and closer to Daniel Bryan. I was like, oh, I think I know what's going on here. I think I know what's going to happen. Triple H turns Daniel Bryan around, hits the pedigree. That's when Randy Orton goes running down the ring, gets in the ring, gives the briefcase to Triple H, who rings the bell. Randy simply covers Daniel Bryan, gets the 1, 2, 3, wins the WWE Championship. So Daniel Bryan pretty much was champion for only, I don't know, what, 5 minutes? Something like that? 4 minutes? I don't know. However long the celebration was. And then Triple H, you know, he smiles and he raises Randy's hand up a bunch of times. And he actually, towards the end, he started mocking Daniel Bryan and doing the yes taunt. Daniel Bryan's yes taunt. And in the end, raises Randy's hand once again. It was a cool ending. I've got to say, that was a nice ending. Because while I did see Randy Orton, you know, cashing in as a possibility, I thought there was a good chance of that happening. I didn't necessarily see Triple H turning heel on Daniel Bryan, hitting the pedigree, and allowing Randy to, you know, to pin Bryan and possibly start this new alliance, maybe Evolution version 2 or something like that. So, yeah. Anyways, I've got to say, I enjoyed this show. Really enjoyed SummerSlam. Thought it was a good show. Bunch of great matches, too. You know, like Christian versus Del Rio, and Brock Lesnar versus CM Punk. Also, John Cena versus Daniel Bryan. Pretty much, you know, all three main events were great matches. And the ending. I really like the ending. And now you've got both Randy Orton and Triple H as heels. Two things that people have been requesting for a while. So, as far as a rating for the show, I'd actually give it a... You know what? A 9 on 10. I'd give SummerSlam a 9 on 10. Highlights would definitely have to be a lot of highlights in the main event. You know, Daniel Bryan winning the championship. And then right after, Triple H turning heel. Randy cashing in that briefcase, winning the championship. Bottom line, I thought it was a great show. And I want to ask you guys, which match did you guys enjoy the most? What was the match of the night in your opinion? I think I'd have to go with the main event, just because the main event was great, and then you also have Randy cashing in and Triple H turning heel. So that's pretty much all I've got to say. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, as always, you can click that like button down below. I'd really appreciate it. And with that said, I'm out, guys. See ya.